Right now, on to the point. California lawmakers' new office building. Tonight, the update on the Capitol Annex project and its rising costs.
Sacramento County's unhoused population has increased 13% since the last official count, but beneath that number lies a more complex story. We talk with leaders about what it all means.
The federal government suspending more than $1 billion in payments to the state's Medicaid program.
The state of California has not taken fraud very seriously.
What's next in the funding fight? And we celebrate AAPI Heritage Month. How a Vietnamese Catholic monk and a Vietnam veteran turned farmland into a place of faith and community. Homelessness in Sacramento County is up 13%. That's according to a new report out today. But there are some signs of progress. Good evening. As always, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Alex Bell. Sacramento Steps Forward released results from January's point-in-time count. That's a single-night snapshot of homelessness across our county. The total number, 7,458 people, a nearly 13% increase from the last count, which was about 2 years ago. ABC 10's Becca Habegger spoke with city and county leaders today about why they call the results a mixed bag.
The overall unhoused population is up, yes, but if you dig into the numbers, leaders say it shows progress in certain areas.
The point-in-time count is one measure of homelessness. It provides an important snapshot, but it does not capture the full number of people who enter and exit homelessness over the course of a year.
Lisa Bates is CEO of Sacramento Steps Forward, the lead agency coordinating countywide efforts to address homelessness, also known as the continuum of care. She and other leaders announced the results of January's point-in-time count, comparing it to the last one in 2024. It shows of those experiencing homelessness, an increasing number of them are in shelters. Overall, in Sacramento County, the number of people staying in shelters or transitional housing jumped by 22%. That's 582 more people indoors compared to 2024. The number of people living unsheltered, outdoors or in vehicles, rose by a smaller margin, about 6.5%, or 261 people.
That does show that the work that we've done, increasing bed capacities, whether they're tiny homes, motel programs, other places where people are homeless to go, it has worked, getting people off of the streets.
Sacramento Mayor Kevin McCarty points out the unsheltered homeless population has gone down within Sacramento city limits by about 20%, while growing in other parts of the county.
We're not saying victory, we won, our numbers are down. It's still way too many people that are homeless, way too many people that are languishing, and frankly and sadly, way too many people we see die in the streets that are homeless. Our numbers have reduced slightly unsheltered in the city, but the surrounding jurisdictions have not, so that just reminds us that we need to work in partnership.
A new partnership is underway between Sacramento County governing bodies, including the County Board of Supervisors and representatives from the large cities like Sacramento and Elk Grove.
We're going to be meeting on a monthly basis with supervisors, council members, regional mayors or appointees to focus on housing and homelessness. That's going to happen in the coming months, and that hasn't happened ever in this region, and so we're pleased about progress on that front.
We'll see if this transformation in strategy around their collaboration leads to a transformation in overall strategy. It might not.
Nikki Jones is director of the Sacramento Regional Coalition to End Homelessness. She says homelessness is an urgent public health crisis.
The more conversation that can be had, the more open the conversations, the more collaborative the conversations, the better outcomes we can get.
She says the county needs more affordable housing along with more shelter beds, and this year's point-in-time count numbers, along with wait lists for shelter beds, show the demand is there.
It sort of debunks the narrative that people as a whole cloth don't want shelter, right? No, every time there's open beds, people will fill them.
Sacramento Steps Forward says starting this year, the count will be conducted annually instead of every 2 years, so the region can track trends and respond faster. In Sacramento, Becca Habegger, ABC 10.
Well, a major blow today for California's health programs. The Trump administration announced that it is deferring $1.3 billion in Medicaid reimbursements. Vice President J.D. Vance said that the move comes as the administration accuses the state of not doing enough to combat fraud.
For those states that refuse to get serious about fraud, we are going to turn off that anti-fraud money. And if we continue to find problems, we can turn off other resources within their state Medicaid programs as well.
Now, this is said to be the largest ever deferral. The administration is also imposing a 6-month freeze on some new Medicare enrollments and warning states to investigate Medicaid fraud or risk losing funding. Governor Newsom is disputing the suspicions of fraud. Attorney General Rob Bonta also responding on social media today, saying in part, quote, once again, California appears to be targeted solely for political reasons. He goes on to say, quote, we have not hesitated to challenge unlawful actions by the Trump administration, and we will continue to act whenever Californians' rights or access to critical services are threatened. And we're back tonight with Your Voice, Your Vote, getting a new look at the candidates leading in this crowded race to be the next governor. A new poll out today. Let's take a look at the numbers. Javier Becerra is now leading the field in the latest poll out from Emerson College at 19%. He is followed by Steve Hilton and Tom Steyer, both tied at 17%. Chad Bianco dropping to 11%, followed by Katie Porter and Matt Mahan. Antonio Villaraigosa and Tony Thurmond both came in below 5%, with 12% of voters still undecided. Now, this poll was taken on May 9th and 10th. Meanwhile, Javier Becerra is making headlines for his handling of an interview with television station KTLA down in Southern California, which went viral. Critics are now taking aim at the high-polling candidate, trying to direct the conversation.
By the way, this is a profile piece. This is not a gotcha piece, right?
I don't know how you define profile, but I'd like to begin the interview.
I'm saying, quote, unlike other candidates in the race, Becerra sticks around even when the questions get tough. He's proven over decades in public service that he will always show up, take questions, and defend the rights of journalists to do their jobs. Meanwhile, Becerra's rival candidates are trying to capitalize on the viral video. Take a look at what Matt Mahan was saying. Fixing the problems Californians are facing isn't easy, but answering questions about them sure should be. Chad Bianco arguing the media has given Becerra a free pass for so long, but he's got enough skeletons, he is still afraid. All right, stay with us. A lot more news to get to. You may have noticed that big glass building going up at the state capitol. Kind of hard to miss there. Tonight, we are getting a closer look at the cost behind the Capitol Annex project. Then new voting rights concerns tonight after the Supreme Court upholds Tennessee's new congressional map. Reaction from California leaders.
And today was cooler. We were in the low 80s across the valley, but we're back near 90 tomorrow and Friday. Then we've got some elevated fire danger this weekend. I've got a full look at that forecast after the break.
But first, another headlines tonight. President Trump is now in China for a high-stakes meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. The two are expected to discuss the war in Iran, trade between the two countries, and artificial intelligence. More than a dozen CEOs are joining the president on the trip. Convicted killer Alex Murdaugh will have a new trial. He was convicted of killing his wife and son in 2021. A South Carolina Supreme Court overturned the high-profile convictions today. The justices cite a former county clerk's comments to jurors. The defense says her statements like, quote, watch his body language, implied Murdaugh's guilt. The attorneys say that prevented him from getting a fair trial with an impartial jury. And the Senate today confirmed Kevin Warsh as the new chairman of the Federal Reserve. Warsh will take over as the Fed faces inflation, deep divisions over interest rates, and scrutiny from President Trump over its independence. Meteorologist Brendan Minchef giving us a look at our forecast today. Pretty warm again.
It is going to be warmer, especially than what we saw today. Today was cooler than the last few days, noticeably so. I'd say 82 in Sacramento. Really a big difference in the San Joaquin Valley from the last few days. 90s the last couple days, but low 80s today, 60s up in the high country. Right now, we're all in the 70s across the valley, although we're still hanging on to the 80s up in Marysville, Oroville, and Colusa. 70 Placerville, 66 in Truckee, and 65 in Tahoe. Thursday morning starts off cool, pretty close to normal. That normal is 52. I've got 53 in Sacramento, 50 in Stockton, 54 in Modesto. Thursday afternoon, though, we're warming up again. The normal high is 80. We're going to be closer to 90 across the valley. 89 in the capital city, 90 in Stockton, 91 Modesto. Some 70s and 80s in the low elevations. High pressure is building back in, and this is what's going to warm us up through the next couple of days. It'll continue to sit off to our west as this system drops into the Great Basin. That's going to create this northerly flow across northern California. So a delta breeze the next couple of days, but look what happens when we get to Saturday. We start to see a northerly wind developing, and it picks up through Saturday night and and Sunday morning, and by Sunday afternoon, widespread gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour across the valley. These are north winds, which means dry winds, so our relative humidity values are dropping to about 10 to 20% with poor overnight recovery both Saturday into Sunday and then again Sunday into Monday. So there is definitely some moderate fire danger across the valley by the time we get to Sunday because of those north winds. So 90s the next couple days, then we're thinking about fire danger. Alex.
All right, Brendan, thank you. Right after the break, top state leaders and staff are set to move into a new office building next year, paid for by taxpayers. Coming up, the big questions being raised over cost and transparency. If you are at the state capitol, the Capitol Annex project is definitely one that you can't miss. Tonight, we're learning key updates on that taxpayer-funded building, which will house the governor, lieutenant governor, legislators, and hundreds of staff. ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Hubb breaks down the latest for us.
This is the Capitol Annex, this glass building slowly but surely reaching completion. It's pretty hard to miss if you're out here in downtown Sacramento. Big updates from project leaders. They say as of April, the annex is about 55% complete and has spent $632 million in taxpayer dollars.
We will continue to take steps that will deliver this project on time without asking for any more money.
We do not intend, and I will repeat that, we do not intend to request additional funding from the legislature.
The Capitol Annex will cost a total $1.1 billion in taxpayer dollars, project leaders confirm, and it's on track to be completed by October 2027. Democrats Assemblymember Blanca Pacheco and State Senator John Laird are the chair and vice chair, respectively, of the Joint Rules Committee, the legislative body that oversees the project.
Excited that you're here today to obtain this vital information.
Construction is now shifting to the interior with a little under $400 million left to spend and 1 million hours of construction reached. But there is an estimated $98 million cost overrun, which project leaders say will be addressed without asking for more money, like by scratching the initial proposal of a visitor center as part of the project,
including funds previously allocated to the visitor center, reducing landscape scope, and additional project efficiencies.
For years, the project has been criticized over transparency, with all those involved, including the chair and vice chair, signing non-disclosure agreements.
Do you feel that they have maintained an open door policy?
And I think when everyone on a project signs an NDA that quite literally makes it impossible for you to share information, I wouldn't say that that's transparency.
Republican Assemblymember Josh Hoover has pushed a proposal to do away with the annex NDAs and those in future public projects.
One of the reasons actually given for making this structure glass was that government should be transparent and the building should reflect government. I find that very ironic.
So NDAs are a norm, and it's not to prevent transparency. For us, it's important to be transparent.
Project leaders pushed back, arguing the NDAs are to preserve security, like building layout. Hoover also criticizes the lack of routine cost updates, saying this December report, which addressed some cost and timeline updates, wasn't enough. Leaders said it's because they hired a new project manager.
So as soon as we were able to get information, we were able to provide it.
So you yourselves didn't quite know what the project total would come out to be?
No, we did not.
Until you got the report from?
Correct.
Okay.
Jenny Hubb, ABC 10.
And we reached out to Governor Newsom's office for comment on the annex updates, but we did not hear back. While Newsom does not oversee the project, he has consistently expressed support for more transparency. And strong reaction in Sacramento today to the Supreme Court's recent decision to allow Tennessee's new congressional map. The decision is raising concerns about voting rights protections. The passage of Tennessee's new map brought protest as it splits Memphis, a majority black city, into 3 separate districts, becoming the first southern state to eliminate a majority black congressional district. Today, California legislative leaders responded to the Supreme Court ruling, saying that it opens the floodgates for partisan gerrymandering targeting black and brown voters across the country.
This court decision sets a dangerous precedent. Minority communities now face far greater barriers when challenging district maps that weaken our voices. This isn't new. We know this isn't new. This is an extension of the same racist systems that we've seen over and over, where leaders in power have upheld for hundreds of years.
When it comes to our maps here in California, our new congressional map, voters approved the new map in last year's Prop 50 special election. Despite lawsuits, it was allowed to move forward. Courts have upheld that the map reflects partisan redistricting, not based on race. All right, coming up after the break, celebrating AAPI Heritage Month, we are in the Sacramento Delta, where a monk and a Vietnam veteran turned farmland into a place of peace. In the Delta, a Catholic monk from Vietnam and a Vietnam War veteran from California formed a very unlikely partnership, one that has transformed farmland into a place of faith, community, and connection. As we celebrate Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, John Bartel takes us there.
Hiding between the farmlands of the California Delta, you'll find a seemingly out-of-place collection of statues.
Statue is a kind of symbol of something, you know. You see the story of Jesus. It's not a real Jesus, but through this statue, as we say in the blessing, you can recognize and see Jesus.
Welcome to Our Lady of Sacramento, a monastery built mostly by Father Dominic and his neighbor Joey Sanchez.
Look how filthy.
Yeah.
Huh?
Maybe I need to change the new
There I go, start chewing you out again.
Not many neighbors have the relationship that Father Dominic and Joey have.
You look a little thinner, I think. So you didn't eat very much, no?
No, I don't eat very much.
Oh, you have to eat more.
To some, the two are an unlikely pair, but together they've transformed this 90-acre cornfield into a place where hundreds of Vietnamese people come to worship.
You know, Father lives in a different lifestyle than I do, and it's great that we can help each other.
Father Dominic is a member of the Holy Family Cistercian Congregation of Vietnam, and Joey is a farmer and highly decorated Vietnam veteran who left the war with several bullets in his body.
Yeah, when I left, I didn't leave angry of Vietnam. I was just angry that we couldn't go into the north and finish it off in 2 weeks.
Father Dominic's involvement with the church took him out of Vietnam and eventually to California, where he was asked to build a new monastery.
We don't have tractor. We don't have any equipment to work out.
That's when Joey stepped in.
Yeah, I told him that. I said, Father, I don't really go to church, and don't try to make me. He understood.
Over the next 20 years, Joey became a crucial construction partner in transforming the land into a monastery.
Is he paying you at all? Or?
Never, not a dime, ever. He offered one time, and I said that would be an insult, and then the good deed wouldn't be a good deed.
The land they built together is now filled with statues, each one of them telling the story of Jesus carrying the cross.
So our life will be like this. Sometimes very easy, easier, or harder, or very hard, or so hard, but everything will go through.
There's a verse in the Bible that says, "Love your neighbor as yourself." And I think if you visit the monastery, which you can, you might just see these two neighbors doing just that.
That's finished. I and Joey, we go together into heaven. You stay to film, right?
No, my team roping partner's down there in purgatory in the 10-steer average.
Yeah.
I got to go down there.
Yeah, but I tell you, your hand to my feet and we flow together.
From Our Lady of Sacramento in Walnut Grove, I'm John Bartel.
And we will have more stories celebrating AANHPI Heritage Month, and you can watch them all for free on our ABC 10 streaming app. As always, thank you so much for watching, for always inviting us into your home. If you have something you think our team should be looking into, you can always reach out to us at tothepoint@abc10.com. And ABC is about to start a live special report on President Trump's arrival in China. It is expected to start any minute now. You can watch it for free on our app. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow.